What's going on, guys? It's your boy Coreboy back at it again today with a new video. Today, we're having a conversation that I've actually wanted to have for a while. Something that I think really does need to be talked about. Something that I think the Halo community has kind of been up in arms about for a while on both sides of this fence of this being something that could be great or something that could be absolutely detrimental to the series. And I want to talk about it a little bit more in depth because I've hinted on it and I've talked about it a little bit here and there in the past, and I've never really done a full, I think, proper deep dive talking about certain elements of it and what would work, what wouldn't work, things of that nature. And I really, really want to talk about this because to me, this is a huge talking point. This is something that's, I think, huge for Halo. It could be something that is great for the series. It could be something that is absolutely terrible for the series, and it needs some more light thrown on it. And I know I'm probably gonna have some friends who love Infinite just as much as I do, who just love the 4v4 Halo experience as I do, that are probably going to disagree with me on some of these talking points. But it is something that I've wanted to get out for a while, something that I've really wanted to harp on and just go in on and really cover to a full degree. Which is something that I haven't seen a lot of people do. I've seen people talk about it kind of in passing, talking about what could have been, but not really doing a deep dive on the gameplay elements of this and what it could be. And well, today, further ado, we are talking about a Halo BR. If you all know me, you all know I'm not the biggest fan of Battle Royale games. I'm kind of over it at this point. I'll go back and play Fortnite here and there. It's fun with the friends. It's a good old time. I do enjoy it to that degree. But overall, it is just not something that has ever really stuck with me within the FPS genre or even the third person shooter genre. I'm a big fan of just fast paced multiplayer action where you're constantly getting in and out of fights. There's a unique playstyle to actually both of those things, Battle Royale and to regular 4v4 or 6v6, 8v8, whatever it may be, multiplayer. There's unique things that come with both those when it comes to how you're playing. I would say in 4v4 it's a lot more on the off the top of the head, thinking and planning, while Battle Royale is a little bit more methodical and stuff like that. You're kind of planning out your routes and where you're going to come from on a certain map. How are you going to get these weapons and these power-ups and things of that nature? And I feel like with Halo, there is a lot of stuff that could happen with a BR, and a lot of things that could happen with just something that is different from the typical 4v4 experience. Now, personally, I know, like I said, some people are probably going to get upset with me for saying this, but hey, that's okay. This is just an opinion video. You can hate me for it. You can love me for it. You can, do whatever to your heart content. That is all up to you and not me. This is how I'm feeling about this and how I could see this going one of two ways within this community of Halo players. And so the biggest thing that I have to harp on when it comes to a Halo BR is, would it be good or would it be bad for the series? Personally, as somebody who does like to talk about Halo's player base and realizing that it has definitely got smaller over the years because it's just inevitable. It's things that happen with every game. Games have their highlights and their low points, and I feel like I've been through all of them here in the Halo community. I've been here for the highlights, I've been here for the lowlights, I've been here for it all, and I still just happen to love this game and play it every day. I did forget to turn something on because I'm a little stupid. Can my things load? Come on. Okay. There we go. That's weird. I don't know why that was happening. But would it be a net positive to have a Halo Battle Royale? Would it help expand the community past what it has been in recent years? And overall, all I can say to that is, well, yes, it would. It would undoubtedly, with no hesitation, would actually help out this series so much within its community, within the amount of players that are playing it, and just things of that nature. Just overall, there is nothing bad that could happen with having a BR in Halo, besides a couple of things, and like I said, I will be talking about those because they're talking points that are valid. One thing that I always refer to when it comes to talking about BRs and things that worry me is kind of the Call of Duty effect with Warzone. With COD and everything that we have seen since Warzone has came out is, well, we've seen a decline in overall multiplayer content, or at least the quality of multiplayer content that we have seen in Call of Duty, thanks to Warzone taking off the way that it has. And listen, I get that people love it, but it's not what everyone does want to play. But I also do understand that a majority of players now are wanting to play stuff like that, so they do have to kind of pay attention to that majority to make sure that they retain that huge amount of their player base. You know, they can set aside the 4v4 or 6v6 element and be like, oh no, like we got to focus on this because this is what everybody is wanting to play right now. No one is wanting to play regular multiplayer as much as they were at one point. They're now focused on this. And we've kind of seen that where it's caused a nosedive within the player bases of the game. You know, you'll see multiplayer, it'll pop up for the first couple of months the game's out, but as soon as that Warzone compatibility and everything comes over and they start seeing all the new Warzone content, you kind of see the multiplayer start to kind of nosedive off a little bit, and now it's kind of just, left to the people who really do love to play that element of the game. And with the Halo BR, I would say 4v4 is the biggest element of Halo. It is something that is integral to the design philosophy of this series. It's been the trademark multiplayer aspect of this series for, over 20 years at this point. It's a part of the game's identity. And I would worry that would be lost with a BR, but I would also hope with the reformation of 343 or Halo Studios now, as we have seen it come to be, I would hope that they would, have a way to kind of adjust the team and have a team set on both of these things. And who knows, maybe have like some collaboration in between them like they do with Call of Duty. You see the multiplayer stuff going to Warzone and vice versa. It's just the way that it goes. It's really cool to see. It's something that I actually really do like about Warzone or how they do it. They kind of combine them all into this like weird thing. And it does work together very well, but we do see less multiplayer content for the game overall compared to Warzone content. At least from somebody who now just kind of views peripherally. I don't really play COD anymore. I will play like Black Ops 6 and everything like I said, because I did enjoy the gameplay loop a lot. So I will be playing it. But at least I'm like a peripheral fan of the series and someone who did play a lot growing up. I mean, I played COD for fucking years upon years because I just simply enjoyed them that much. It was something that was fun. I've always looked at COD as being kind of like my chill FPS title because, to be honest with you, there's just not a lot of thought that goes into playing COD. It's a very, it's simple and cut and dry. That's the best way to look at it. COD is just a very simplistic game. And listen, that's not an insult to the game. It's what COD is. Like, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, it's okay to be a simple game. You don't have to be the most difficult FPS in the world. Not every game needs to be a Counter-Strike or a Tarkov or whatever it may be at the time. It's okay to just have those simple and very, straightforward titles. And when I look at Halo, I'm like, okay, Halo's a lot more strategic than most other FPSs, like, for example, Call of Duty. I'm talking about like the big ones on the market. Halo has a very unique game design to it, with a very unique system of how you play Halo, with how the weapons react, how the health system works, for example. It's all very unique and very integral to Halo's design philosophy, and kind of what Halo has been for its entire identity and, lifespan of over 20 years. Like, it's very unique, and it's something that really only Halo can do. As many games as we've seen try to do the Halo formula, and as much as I love games like Splitgate, it doesn't give me the same feeling that Halo does. Halo has a very unique thing that it offers, at least to me as a player. It feels different. There's a different, style of gameplay that comes with playing Halo. There's a different style of like how weapons work, how the health system works. And I do want to talk a little bit more in depth with that. One is the weapon options. If I think most people know that Halo Infinite doesn't have the most insane sandbox of most FPS titles. It's pretty fucking straightforward. And while I do love the Infinite sandbox, do not get me wrong there. I love this game's sandbox. I love how it feels. It feels like every weapon has a unique purpose. Even within the competitive scene and like all the GAs and everything, every weapon kind of just has their own unique function that really does allow them all to like flourish in their own way. And I do wholeheartedly love that more than anything else about Halo, is every weapon having just like that one, thing about it that makes it useful, kind of gives it its identity. And I will say, I think if we were to get a Halo BR, the sandbox would have to be upped a little bit. We would have to see some new weapons come into effect, or even besides that, there is a way that we could kind of go about this with not having to add a fuckload of new weapons to the sandbox, but just having something kind of unique. That would be using the super weapons from the campaign and all the super modes like Fiesta and Big Team Battle, Husky Raid, for example. And just having those be a part of the sandbox as well to add that extra oomph to the overall sandbox of the game. Because like I said, Infinite doesn't have the most like insanely large sandbox. There's, I would say like, God, I'd have to like actually count them out. I would say like a little bit over 10 weapons, like probably between like 12 and 14. You know, the game has a decent sandbox, but it's not the most diverse or big sandbox compared to a lot of other games that have came out in recent years. And even in Halo terms, it's not the biggest. I mean, the biggest we've seen was Halo 5, and shit, if we got a sandbox like that again, I honestly wouldn't even be that mad, because I actually thoroughly enjoyed H5 sandbox. It was really cool having a lot of different weapons, from, you know, weapons like the to the BR and the DMR to the, you know, fucking beam rifle and stuff like that. It had a lot of cool things, and then they had the Promethean weapons in there, like the suppressor, the light rifle, everything of that nature. It was just really, really cool to see, and it was something that I genuinely enjoyed about that game, but Infinite doesn't offer that, and I don't know if it's something that people would necessarily want within a, you know, within Halo Infinite, is weapons like that. But that does lead that to conversation of, well, how would they expand the sandbox so that the BR doesn't feel very repetitive with the same weapons being used? It feels very unique in a way that it flows in the way that the game progresses. That is something that I think people do have to focus on quite a bit, is that. And then also get to go into the actual gameplay elements, like, well, one, how is health going to work? Halo has always had a very unique health system in all of its games. And I personally think that this would work best, is having the typical shield system where it just automatically regens when you're not in combat, or even have it like H5, where if you're sprinting, your shields don't regen. You have to stop sprinting and actually just kind of maneuver around very methodically and slowly and kind of, you know, pick where you're going to go from. But also, when it comes to base health, because Halo has a shield system, and then you have your health after that. So have the shield regen system, but then in the BR, for example, have the OG, like, Combat Evolved and Reach and even ODST style of health, where you have to pick up these med packs and use them to heal. And you could have them, like, in your inventory. You could hold, like, 2 or 3 at a time. So if you're taking a fight, you can, you know, back out of that fight and go and use it and whatnot. I think that would be a really cool thing to see, and I think it would actually work really, really well within a system like that. So it kind of keeps the health system still true to what Halo is. It keeps it unique. It keeps it on its own thing, where it's like, yeah, this still feels like the Halo health system. It feels like a different iteration of it from a different game, but it still works overall in this setting of a BR. Then, after that, of course, we have, like, the power-ups and everything like that. It's one thing in Halo Infinite that I absolutely love. Don't change any of them. They all work really well, and I think they would work really well in a BR as well. Things like the grapple hook, or the repulse, or thrust for maneuverability. Then you have things like the shroud screen to block off, you know, sight lines, and then you have the trackers so you can shoot out, find out where enemies are, and kind of, you know, determine how you're going to flank in through there. I think all that works really well. You could even have the repair field as well, which I think is a really fun and unique, like, little thing to have in there. Just because it adds the element of, like, okay, this seems pushing us, we're taking damage, I can, like, throw this down and get health off of it, or my shields, and they constantly regen, and I can still take this fight. And I think it's just really unique to Infinite, is having that ability in there. It's something that's just, like, it's really fun. I personally really like the health, like, field and shit like that. I'm not. No. Sorry about that, buddy. Sit down. And then, on top of that, too, we have to talk about map design, because Halo, yet again, has had very unique maps, and how they are designed, and how they flow within Halo's multiplayer. And, personally, I do feel like they could actually go ahead and take a note from something that's already in Infinite, which is Big Team Battle, for example. Those maps are pretty big, and they are pretty well scaled, and maybe you could just up them a little bit, or we could look back a little bit further, and we could look at something like Halo 5's Warzone mode. Those maps are pretty damn big, and added a lot to Halo's gameplay that was never there in the past, and it's a mode that I actually really fucking missed. That mode was so fun. If you were there for H5 and you played Warzone, that mode was genuinely so fucking enjoyable, it's not even funny. But, you know, I get it. Maybe some people wouldn't like that, but also Warzone actually added a really cool conversation piece with this as well, is you could still have in the PvE element of Warzone, where you have these, you know, brews and elites and grunts on the map and stuff like that, and you're fighting them. You could have the Sentinels from the Forerunners, or just bring back the Prometheans. That'd be kind of cool, too. Like, I wouldn't hate seeing that. I think it'd be just, like, very interesting and cool to see. But that also leads, you know, like, is that something that people would want? And I do think overall it would add a lot of goodness to Halo as a community. I think one, it would get people into Halo that have maybe never played Halo before. And I would say most people probably haven't, like, a lot of new players probably haven't came and checked out Halo because of a lot of the bad things they hear about Infinite, or just in general the bad things they hear about Halo. So I think it would actually add a bit of a revitalization to the community, and it would be great to see new players. I don't care how you come in, as long as you're, playing the series and you enjoy it. That's really all that matters to me as a player. I don't care when most people started playing, unless you're giving like some really ignorant take on a game. Then I'm like, okay, buddy, you're really showing your age here. But I think it would just be good to have newer players coming in and trying out this series and maybe falling in love with it like we all have as Halo players. I mean, I feel like most of us who have been around for, the longevity of Halo's life, I mean, I've been playing since 2006. I started near, the end of Halo 2, and I have been around ever since. Like, I have played every game up to this point, and I do. I love them all for their own unique reasons. Rather it's the movement of Halo 5, rather it's kind of the gunplay of Halo 4, whatever it may be. Like, I love all these games for, unique and different reasons. I don't have, like, a specific reason why I love all of them. It's all different. It's all its own thing that makes Halo Halo. But I think it would just be overall really good. It would, like I said, drag in a lot of new players who would just want to come try out something new because, hey, they may like the BR setting, but they don't like a typical 4v4 multiplayer. So it gives them not only that, but also it may just introduce them to a series that they just may fucking fall in love with and be like, oh, this is the coolest thing I've ever played. Like, I specifically enjoyed this, and could go back and try out the older games with MCC, for example. Now, this is kind of where things get weird, because I don't think we would see this during Infinite's timeline. I feel like Infinite's already kind of on the brunt end of its development. It's already done. They kind of are, focusing towards what's next, and completely understandable with the current state of how we're going to be getting Halo, with the new management, with everything else that's going on. Like, there's a lot going on within this community that's getting ready to change with the next Halo iteration, just due to, the changes that we've seen at Worlds with, hey, we're a completely new team now. We are no longer 343. We are now Halo Studios. There's a lot that's just going to be changing, and I'm excited for it all, to be quite frank and honest. But I don't think we would see that during Infinite's timeline, and there's a lot that can change within the next couple of months to next couple of years, where, shit, maybe people don't even want to play BRs anymore, so maybe what's even the point of having it? But also, I just think it's a good conversation to have while we are still in this era of BR games. It's just good to have. It's good to talk about it and think of the innovative things that Halo could do, because that's one thing I do just want to see. I want to see Halo get more innovative. I want to see, new things and new experiences come to light. I mean, they've done it very well with this game, and I will say more than anything, I just let myself die to a bot. That was crazy. But there's one set of people that have been doing it more than any others and giving new experiences in Halo Infinite, and that's the Forge community. And yes, I know there are Forge BR maps, and those are actually pretty fucking cool. I've played a couple of them with some friends, and they are very, very fun. It's just, one, you have to kind of go through and search for them in custom games and stuff like that. You have to, like, have the codes for the maps and all that, get all the settings correct. So I feel like it kind of does turn a couple of people away from wanting to go and play them, but I highly do recommend it. I think most people would actually really enjoy them and would like to go and play them. So if you haven't, go do yourself a flavor. Go do yourself a flavor. Yeah, go do yourself a favor and go try them out. Go give them a shot, and kind of form your own opinion on, well, would a BR work in Halo? Because it hypothetically could in a lot of ways. It just has to be executed correctly, which is why I wanted to talk about things like the health system and how weapons would work, and things of that nature. I feel like weapons would definitely need some more difficulty to them, so maybe having Bloom in that would work. May not be the biggest fan of Bloom within regular multiplayer. I mean, we all played Halo Reach. We know how it was. It was a time and a half. I consider it a game of all time. I might be a little bit of a Reach not enjoyer when it comes to multiplayer, but overall, I think Bloom could work within a BR setting to add some weapon difficulty and just some variety to fights to a degree. I think it would be the best way for me to describe that. It would add for this not instant pinpoint precision. While Halo does have a unique accuracy system and how weapons, work and play, it would just kind of expand upon that even more. So overall, I personally think a BR could work in Halo. And other than that, I will see you all later. Let me know down below how you feel about it too, because I want to know. I need to know.